Namaskar friends. Now in this video we are going to discuss the age of this universe and the age of this earth. How many years have passed since the birth of this earth, this particular universe. Now why is it important to understand this? Is because the realizations which are going to come out in the next few discussions, they will be heavily dependent upon understanding the system of time in Hindu scriptures. So now we go on to discuss the age of Brahma first, and then how many years have passed on this earth till now. Now in ancient Hindu scriptures, the age of every universe has been defined as 100 years of Brahma. Now, this Brahma is different from Brahm, which we had been discussing in previous lectures. Now, it is 100 years of Brahma. Now, how much is one day of Brahma? It is called one kalp. How much is one kalp? One kalp is 14 manvantara. How much is each manvantara? It is 71 chaturyug. So in total, we have one kalp. In one kalp, we have 994 chaturyug. Okay, so approximately 1000. We will take this figure as 1000 in our calculations for simplicity. Now, how much is one chaturyug? One chaturyug is one satyug plus one tretayug plus one dwapayug and one kalyug. One kalyug has been defined as 4,32,000 solar years, and one Dwapar Yuga is two times that, it is 8,64,000 years, and one Treta Yuga is three times one Kali Yuga, 12,96,000 solar years, and one Satyug is four times the length of one Kali Yuga, so it is 17,28,000 solar years. So if we add these four, then one Chaturyug comes to 43,20,000 solar years. Okay, so one day of Brahma is, we had seen 994 Chaturyug. Okay, so for simplicity, take it as 1000. So one day of Brahma is 1000 Chaturyug, so it is 432 crore solar years. And one night of Brahma is equal to one day of Brahma. It is the same. And total one day of Brahma and one night of Brahma is 864 crore solar years. So 1 year of Brahma is this figure multiplied by 360. So it comes to 3,11,040 crore solar years. Okay, so 100 year of Brahma, that is the age of Brahma, that is the age of our universe. It is 311.04 trillion solar years. Okay, so this has been clearly defined in ancient Indian texts. There are several texts like Manusmriti and Padma Puran which give these descriptions. So now we come to the age of our earth. Now in the scriptures it has been clearly defined that as of today in this universe, 50 years of Brahma have already passed, and in the 51st year, 2 days and 2 nights of Brahma have already passed, and we are into the third day. And in third day, third kalpa of Brahma, 6 manvantras have already passed. Okay, and we are now in the seventh manvantara, and in this seventh manvantara there will be 71 chaturyugs. So in this 27 Chaturyugas have already passed. And now we are into the 28th Chaturyuga. Now in this 28th Chaturyuga, one is of Satyug, one Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga have passed already. And we are into the Kali Yuga now, which is well known to everyone. And in this Kali Yuga, 5067 years have passed. Okay. So if we calculate all these according to the previous these figures, then we arrive at this figure, which is the total number of years which have passed since the birth of existence, since the starting of the age of Brahma. Okay. And in this Kalpa, in this day of Brahma, 196.08 crore solar years have passed. Okay. Now, this is the age which, if you are interested, you can read any of the Indian ephemeris. I am giving the photograph of one ephemeris here. Now, this is a figure available in all the Indian ephemeris, the Indian Panchang. So, there is not a figure which I have arrived upon on my own calculations, but this is the figure which has been given in all the Panchangs which are available in India in any language you can see. I am giving the picture of one Mufiz Alam Panchang. Now, friends, we discuss different dimensions of time which exist as per ancient Hindu scriptures. And according to the calculations, I am attaching this Excel file below this lecture, which you can open and see. And according to the calculations, it comes out that 1 minute spent in Brahmlok, 60 lakh years would have passed on Earth. Similarly, if you go and spend 1 minute in Devlok, 6 hours would have passed on Earth. And in the same manner, if you go and spend 1 minute in Pitralok, 30 minutes would have passed on Earth. Now, these are the different day and night patterns which have been defined in ancient Indian texts. And for example, it is well known that 1 month, our 1 month, is 1 day and night of Pitra. Okay, there is a well known, if you look into any Indian Panchang, you will find this. See, 1 day and night of Devta is 1 year of hours, 1 solar years of hours. That is equivalent to 1 day and night of Devlok. So just keep this in mind when we come to the later lectures, where we'll be discussing the emergence of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and Devlok and Pitraloks and the creation of all these universes. Right? So these are the different dimensions which are existing, which are defined in ancient Indian texts. And all these lokas or universes, these are physical universes which are existing at particular distances from Earth. The Pitralok is the nearest, Devlok is the next farthest, and Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh lokas are at the farthest place for our universe. Okay, so now we go on to discussing in detail as to in this particular Chaturyuga, since we are into Kali Yuga, and this Chaturyuga started with Satyuga, then came Treta Yuga, then came Dwapar Yuga, and then we are into Kali Yuga right now. Okay, now you have this basic understanding of the calculation of number of years. Now, at this point, I will also like to tell that according to modern science, what I have found from ChatGPT, the estimated age of Earth is about 4.54 billion years. This is based on radiometric dating, the oldest rocks and meteorites. And the estimated age of universe is 13.8 billion years. Now, modern science is only estimating the different ages, while in ancient Indian texts, these ages have been defined exactly. So now we end this lecture here and we go on to understand our present Chaturyuga. Okay.